Hey, everybody, and welcome to Product Happy Hour, where you can go to happy hour with your favorite product people. That's us in your sweatpants. We are product folks here to share what we've learned, often the hard way, over great drinks. Why happy hour? Why not? It's the best way to get the inside scoop from grizzled vets with the scars to prove it. Thanks for giving us a listen. The best ways you can help us keep this party going is to head to our new Substack page and subscribe at producthappyhour.com. It's either $5 a month or $30 a year. That's literally one Starbucks latte a month or one DoorDash order a year to keep this sucker going. Finally, please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts for easy listening anywhere, anytime. With me, as always, is Ira Johal. Hey, Ira.
Hi everyone. I'm really good. I'm super energized by today's topic because this is some insider, like, tribal knowledge. Like, I remember when I was first kind of getting in to product management, I was like, where is this information? Now, there's some stuff on the internet now, but it's not as good as what we're about to talk about. So I think we should just get into it.
Let's do it. Same here.
Right.
There's some real wisdom in this episode. Real wisdom.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. All right. Today, we're covering the topic of transitioning into product management. Spicy, a great topic that we both have some familiarity with. It can be a long but very rewarding road. We're looking forward to providing you with some tips on how to transition to becoming a PM. But before we dive in, let's play our favorite game. What's that drink, Ira? What drink do we have today?
Well, I have two
Oh my God.
because it's that good of an episode. Okay, what is this though? This is vodka and watermelon. I'm like trying to hang on to the last bit of summer, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, also I like drank all our stash on Sunday because football's back, baby.
Yeah, let's
So
go.
I kind of just put together whatever the hell we had left because we drink a lot in this house. What do you have?
Okay, well, today we have a rerun. We have a Dallas Blonde brewed in my hometown of Dallas, Texas.
Ooh,
There you go.
can.
By Deep Ellum Brewing Company. Yeah, it's got a little blonde baby, I guess. It's a blonde baby with a pink crown. Last time I talked about how it had some kick on it. Still true.
Okay.
Great beer.
Okay.
Highly recommended. 10 out of 10. All right. Today's topic is transitioning into product management. You'll get some insight into how we ourselves made the shift into product management and advice for making the change if you're interested in doing so yourself. First, we will give some questions you should ask yourself on what to think about if you're considering a change to being a PM. Then we'll discuss the most common paths to arriving in PM land, core skills you'll need to succeed as a PM, and finally, the best advice for what to do now. Along the way, we will share what worked, what didn't, and how you can save yourself some time and energy by learning from our experience. Does that sound good?
That sounds so good. I want to propose a drinking game
Let's go.
for this episode. Okay, so we're talking about transitioning into product management. So I propose whenever you or I say the word decisions, then we drink. I watch you, you watch me.
All right. I'm in. Let's go.
Okay.
Decisions. Yes. Let's do it.
Decisions.
I
Okay.
loved this game last week. We got pretty drunk, and
Yeah.
so I'm excited to do this again. But we got to pay attention. Last time we kind of got a little
I
slipped up,
know.
so
It's an
yeah,
exercise in focus as well.
yeah, which is hilarious when you're trying to put together a podcast episode and focus
I
on
know.
something. All right, let's go. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let me spoil something for you, Ira.
Yeah.
That's every living creature you'll ever take care of.
Oh my god, I want a fish.
Yeah, except for like fish, cats, you know. Otherwise, you want a dog, you want a kid. This is what fucking happens. Did he bite you? Oh my
Ow!
God.
Almost took my finger off. What
For
kind of
those of you, just in case I decide to put this in the episode,
Okay.
Ira's dog sitting for. Who are you dog sitting for?
Can you hear his squeaky toy? My
I
God.
can't. I
Give
can't.
me that toy. I'm gonna ruin this whole podcast. Jesus.
Oh man.
Okay, I'm gonna give him a
Okay.
chunk of watermelon from my drink.
Do
How
it.
about that?
Do it.
That
Is he
doesn't
gonna get
squeak.
drunk from the watermelon?
Oh, whatever. At this point.
That's wonderful. I love that this is happening. I love this for you. It's good. David, ew. All right. Okay.
L.
So, ew, David. Okay. Well, I love that that's happening. I'm sorry he bit you, but I hope things get better over there. All right.
He'll be
So
drunk soon.
we will be drunk soon. It won't
Yeah.
matter. All right, let's dive into this. So, is PM life right for you? I think we agree that asking yourself some key questions about PM life to discover if being a PM is right for you is a good place to start. No?
Yes, absolutely. Because being a PM is not for everyone. So it's good to check in with yourself, you know, hand over heart, and see if making the change is right for you. Because
Yes.
it's a, I think it's a very specific thing. It's not something you can kind of dip in and dip out of.
Yes, 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 yes. So let's think about the kinds of things you should think about if you're considering a change into product management. One thing I think a lot about is what Ken Norton says on his blog, Bring the Donuts. No one asked you to show up, friend. Due to the
So
nature of the
true.
job, it's so true. Due to the nature of the job, you have to really want to be there and give it more than a normal 9 to 5. So I'd ask yourself if you have the time and space in your life to be engaged, passionate, and
Mhm.
ready to dedicate time to ramping up on the challenge. Would you agree with that, Ira?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm really glad we're talking about this aspect because being in the right mindset, having a lot of passion for product management or, wanting to learn more is super critical. So you should really make sure that you're ready for that. It's really tough when people are not in the right headspace. It's not a job that treats that kind of strategic air kindly.
Yeah, it's really not. That's totally true. I think this is especially true in the beginning of your career, too,
Hmm.
when you have to spend a lot of time learning and understanding new technologies and concepts. I know for me, the first 1 or 2 years of this were pretty tough. When I made this transition, I was really fortunate to have been able to be in a PM role without knowing I was in one at a
Oh,
startup. I got a front row seat to what it meant to embark on this journey with a lot of late nights and early mornings doing slide decks, learning technology stacks, finishing requirements earlier in the morning before grooming, stuff like that. It can
yeah.
be a really hard road. Do you have a similar experience?
I mean, the slide decks things, like, I literally thought I was just, like, a slide slave. I was like, "Why? They should change the title of this job.
Slide slave.
I'm a slide slave."
Yeah.
Yeah, you do definitely need to be prepared for that kinda of work because 'cause you're gonna be spending also, like, a lot of time communicating, talking to customers, talking to the business, talking to everybody about how to talk to customers. Like, there's a lot of communication, written, verbal, sometimes visual. So, yeah, ask yourself, is spending a lot of time communicating is something you enjoy doing? Or do you feel depleted by that? Like, I honest to God mean that. If you're sick of talking to people about a thing, um, get ready for that. Like, maybe this isn't the right thing because you are gonna like talk about the same thing to different people, just slightly differently all day. Is that not true?
It's true. I've gotten to a point now where I kind of like switch. There's a switch that goes off in my brain
Uh-huh.
when I'm like, oh, cool, I have to explain this for the fifth time. Okay. And then it just engages a
Yeah.
part of my brain. It's like that part of Old School where he blacks out, where he's like talking about that
Yes.
political statement. He like starts going into that. And then all of a sudden he's like, what happened? I blacked out. That's how my brain works. So you have to get into that mode. So it's like it's something you really do have to engage in a lot. You're going to do it a lot. You're going to be giving your
Yeah.
elevator pitch for your product a lot. So
Right.
if that doesn't sound like something that's for you, then yeah, you might want to reconsider if this is something that's right for you.
I like that you mentioned that it was repetitive because that's the thing. It's not like new conversations all the time. It's like kind of the same conversations from like a different perspective. like you said, it's like, oh, I have to explain this. Let me engage this part of my brain. Also, on top of communicating, you're going to be making a lot of decisions. You're like the
Drink.
go to.
Wait. Drink.
Finally, it took us a long time to get
It
to
did.
that decisions.
Yeah, it took us like a few minutes. All right. Okay, sorry. Go.
Okay. So you're also going to be making a lot of those things, calls, often with
Nice.
incomplete information. In that way, the role of a PM is pretty exposed. Like you're working with the team to make decisions, but
Drink.
when those choices don't work out, you are the throat to choke. Quite literally, like you're the last man standing. You're the first you have to be in the line of fire, essentially. And yeah, you're not going to be the one who like gets all the praise either. You're kind of like a shepherd for the product and a representative for the team. You're not really, front and center in the spotlight. Actually, if you do your job really well, people might associate you with the feature, but they'll associate your team with the success. Like that's like a good gauge. Like people be like, "Oh, that team delivers." Like that's a sign that you did a good job. Not like, "Oh, that PM, oh, great job." Like it should be, you kind of should be seen as a unit. So yeah, naturally, I think you should check in with yourself and see if you're comfortable being, that person to kind of take the heat. Make lots of calls, and then like maybe not all have all the answers, but be willing to go and find them. Ah, what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're making a lot of calls often with incomplete information and
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
have all the answers
Better figure it
most of the
out, bud.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're going to have to figure that out and you're going to have to be comfortable like because you don't have all the answers, you're not going to make the right call often.
Yeah. Yeah. And be
And
okay with that.
so you have to be okay with being in the line of fire just like you said. I agree
Right.
with that.
Okay. And lastly, negotiation. Often teams and stakeholders that they're not always going to be the easiest to work with, or they're not going to be aligned with each other or with you. And so you're always like kind of brokering these conversations to get people to, like, I think, find their common goal. And so you're doing that transaction with them. You're also trying to like weigh and measure what's valuable, what's not valuable. So you're negotiating feature sets, you're negotiating with teams, you're trying to like convince people. It's salesy in that way. And there's a lot of back and forth. It's not like, okay, here's my to-do list today. Check, check, check. I can do all these things independently. Like never, I've never, not once, one day have I ever been like, oh yeah, just my independent tasks ever.
Yeah,
Well,
it's true.
oh yeah, good. I'm glad you agree. Like I think that kind of summarizes the nature of the work. Any other thoughts?
Well said. I really love that negotiation point too. Sometimes it feels like, a lot of life is negotiation. Well, PM is even more so. Like
Yeah.
it's just one constant long negotiation. So, I think it's important to think about that. Some great nuggets of insight in there, and great questions for our listeners to ask themselves. Actually, given the above, I think it's good to round out by talking about the mindsets that don't really work
Okay.
for PM life. Um, if some of these are plaguing you, I'd consider either making a mindset shift or reconsidering a move into PM. So we mentioned this at the top, thinking that this job is 9 to 5. That's very, very incorrect. When, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
mean, that's a lie. That's a lie, guys.
yeah, yeah.
It's not 40 hours a week.
Um, when done at a high level, this is a very demanding job, and you'll often be working at all hours to learn, make decisions.
Cheers, buddy.
Okay. Um,
Ah,
so you're gonna be working at all hours to learn, make decisions,
excuse
communicate.
me.
I did it again. Oh man. Okay. Mm. So if you're looking for a job with lots of structure and balance, I don't really think this is it. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, you're not working 100 hours a week by any means,
Mhm.
but you're also not going to be punching a punch card. That's for sure, right?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I'm not the only one here, right?
No, like I think I was attracted by like the okay, like it looks really like a glamorous job. Like this person has a lot of authority. They're driving a lot of things. I was really attracted to that, but once I got into the role, like that's really just a fraction of it. Like you are kind of like the key point person, but with that privilege comes a lot of responsibility. And some of that responsibility isn't like a like you can kind of check out mentally. Like I've done this thing, I'm done. Like I'm kind of always thinking in a strategic way. I'm a different kind of person because I'm a PM. I can't just turn it off. And it's not like about, I'm not saying that about work life balance. I'm just saying that there's a new kind of thinking where you really only feel satisfied by having lots of balls in the air and having like a path. Like I always have a list of things that I want to get done or like opportunities. I'm always like weighing things. What do they call that? Like, what's the word for that? It's not product intuition, but it's like is it a growth mindset? I don't know. What's the,
Hmm.
there's some cute term for
I
it.
don't. I don't know. This is something that we're gonna have to look up later,
We're gonna have to look this
probably.
up. Okay.
Yeah. I know what you. Maybe if somebody, you think of it, if you're listening and you're like, I
Yeah.
know it.
Yeah.
A comment.
Leave us a
Appreciate that.
drop us a comment.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm doing this a ton in my life. I even like I'm at the point now where if it doesn't feel like there's a lot going on and there's uh, not enough time in the day to accomplish all the things that we want to accomplish, I feel like something's wrong. Like
Yeah.
it,
We're not
it's
shooting
to
high
that
enough.
point. Yeah, it's to that point where like alarm bells start going off, and I'm like, that's weird. It's interesting, like over the years, how my mentality is has gotten there. So I definitely agree with you there. Okay, thinking that it's your way or the highway, and the decisions. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Man, popular word. Okay. Um, thinking that it's your way or the highway, and the decisions you make. God, I keep doing it. All right, I'm gonna pull a check out of your playbook.
Okay.
Thinking that it's your way or the highway, and the calls you make are yours to make alone, and are final. Nope, you're going to work with a lot of people
Yeah.
to align, refine, decide, and adjust. So if this is your mindset about the role, I would definitely reconsider that. You are
Mhm.
not a one person show
Yeah.
by any means. And finally, I think a mindset that's not great for this role is thinking that you'll be able to go heads down and burn through tasks, just like you said,
Mhm.
like perhaps somebody in engineering would do. This job has a lot of twists and turns. Having a rigid mindset of purest focus is probably not going to work well in the fluid role that is PM. Did we get it all?
Yeah, you crushed it, man. So, let's say you've gone through all the above, like you're, like I said, hand to your heart. Am I this person? Do I want this thing? Can I manage all these other things? And you're like, okay, I'm good. Let's keep going. The next question is probably, how the f do I get into product management?
Right?
Because yeah, it's like it's not a straight path. There's no like, okay, take this degree, get this certificate, and boom, there you are, worthy PM.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like you're kind of like it's the nature of the job is also represented in the path that it takes to get there
Yeah,
because it is so ambiguous. It is so fluid. Like
right.
you do kind of have to be entrepreneurial to get the job, and then
Yeah.
be entrepreneurial when you're doing the job. So, yeah, it's definitely a more unique path. Okay, so let's talk about the most common paths to PMdom. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, let's do it. So we knocked our heads together and put together these most common paths for people moving into product management. So first, straight out of school, either technical roles like computer science or engineering, or through non technical roles like marketing, psychology, or strategy, or econ, for example. There are usually a lot of tech companies recruiting on campus for future PMs and associate PMs. An associate PM, for those of you who are new, are like kind of like an like entry level product manager. So this is a path that's a pretty common way to get started. Ajay, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm familiar with this one. I actually got recruited out of UT Engineering by Microsoft for their PM program. I
Okay.
didn't actually get a role there, so it didn't
Okay.
actually work out. But a few people I went to school with or went
Uh-huh.
elsewhere went down this path. They do a lot of heavy recruiting in universities out of engineering programs, computer science. Like this happens a lot. So um,
Okay.
it's a great path to go down.
That's cool. Do you think they remember rejecting you and they deeply, deeply regret it?
I doubt they remember it, but I do remember it forever and always. It will always be up here, and I'm always gonna hold it against you, Microsoft. Am I
Okay.
kidding?
No, he's not. He's not Microsoft.
Still
Okay.
remember it. 20 years
Another
later.
look at you. But look how far you've come.
It's
Drinking
true.
in your office at home,
Yeah,
recording
it's
your
true.
thoughts.
It's true. I mean, I guess like a lesson in hindsight is like you're gonna get rejected a lot down this path.
Oh
So
my god.
you know, one more rejection, whatever.
Yeah, and actually that's another like good like core thing you need to be ready for is rejection as a PM. The number of times I have been smacked down by engineering or data science. I mean, I barely stand up anymore. I've been smacked down so many times.
Rejection and failure. I
Yeah.
mean, well, we've talked. I don't know if we've talked about this here, but um, 85 to 90% of the things you ship and tests you run are not going to work out.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah, you
true.
get used to it. You get used to rejection and failure for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, so another pretty common way to like shift in to this glamorous PMdom that we're describing that we all want to be in. Yeah, we've done a really good job kind of cutting it down to what it really is, which is hard work. Well, yeah, you can shift in through what I like to call product adjacent roles at tech companies. So these are product adjacent just means like you're in a role that's maybe not the PM, but you're really close to the strategy in other ways. So if you're at a company that hires product managers, that means you could probably get into a product adjacent role, meaning that they have a product shop. So therefore, there will be a PM for you to be near and also maybe transition into. So let's say you're like in a role like engineering or QA or marketing or customer support or something similar where you're close to the feature. You'd really have a good shot at becoming a PM if you have the right skill set. And if you're PM adjacent, just try and act like you're a PM or try and exhibit some of the behaviors that you think would be valuable in your role that happen to also be some of the ones that Ajay just mentioned, and you'll really set yourself up for success. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually enabled a shift like this recently myself, where we had somebody in our marketing org that would be a great fit for PM on my team.
Mm.
He ended up expressing interest. We interviewed and agreed that he would be a great fit. And now he's doing great as our newest PM. So it happens pretty often.
Oh,
So I would not rule this out, not
yeah,
think, oh, you missed the boat in college or something.
right.
It definitely can happen this way for sure. Pretty common.
I really like
Uh,
that decision.
yeah. Shit.
I just dropped that one on purpose because I was
You did
thirsty.
it. You were like, okay, I need more of that drink there.
It's
Cool.
refreshing.
I'm glad. It's good. All right. Shall I do the final path?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so finally, the last path for transitioning that's the least common is if you're coming from a non tech background in a non tech company.
Okay.
This is a less traditional route and it requires some more creativity. It can be done, but it requires a heavier lift. I know that this can be done because this is the route I ultimately went down after my series of rejections from Microsoft and other tech places. I ended up in the energy sector, in the power generation sector. I gave it a shot because I I, that's what you do. You get your job. You're
You
like, oh,
just
I'm happy to have a job.
yeah, you just try.
Uh, yeah, and I gave it a shot, but ultimately realized it wasn't the place for me. During that time, I got connected with a tech co-working space in Dallas and
Mhm.
found my tribe with a lot of tech folks. So I ended up quitting and joining a startup in the co-working space. It was rough. Yeah, definitely rough. Low pay, long hours, did lots of things wrong, and the startup ultimately failed. Um, Afterwards, I ended up eating a lot in the Bay Area and watching 2 weeks worth of House reruns. And at the end of that, I realized that the parts of the experience I really enjoyed were the product management parts. It's like
Nice.
that's true. I couldn't fit in my pants afterwards. I was like, oh, probably shouldn't have done this. Um, but I did realize at the end that there's this thing called product management after doing some research, and that was the parts of that experience I really enjoyed. So that's what I ended up pursuing. It took months to find a job, months.
Wow.
Um, but ultimately, I found one through an alum of a fraternity I was part of, kind of a random connection. He introed me, and I got a job as an associate PM, and the rest is
Wow.
history. So it can be done, but sometimes when you do it that way, it's harder and it's more windy. You might have a
Mhm.
better shot getting into a tech company and then transitioning from there. Definitely seems easier, or getting an APM job out of college for
Yeah,
sure.
but what a crazy story, and like it just goes to show like, there wasn't a clear path for you, and like now like you're in a place that you're in a role that you really like. You're talking to other people about how to get into this role. I mean, like I think it just goes to show that like if you really want something or there's something really resonates with you, leaning in, even though it's a little hard in the beginning, is worth it.
Yeah,
It's good, better in the long term.
definitely. What? How did you get into product management?
Yeah, it was also a windy road. The short of it is I really wanted to get out of law school badly, because
So
that
you're in
was
this camp too.
yeah, yeah, I am,
Yeah.
and I honestly took a product adjacent role at a really big tech company, but
Ah.
this
Yeah.
role was really like small, and I got it not because of my econ degree, but because of like my fun degree. Did you do a fun degree?
No. What's a fun degree?
Fun degree is the degree you do. That's like what you really want to do, while your main degree is the one you do for like credibility and reputation and validation you need from your parents.
That I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last part I do know for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, my fun degree was in anthropology, and yeah, this tech firm was like looking for what they were calling, I think, data designers at the time, or taxonomists, to help build like some structure around like shopping taxonomies. But yeah, product adjacent. There was PMs there. I try to like I really like admired those PMs. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I got into the role, like what the exact steps I took. But yeah, product adjacent, like totally outside of tech. Then got into a tech company, and then boom, here I am.
That's great. That's great. So yeah, you're in the second category. You
Yeah,
started in the third category
yeah,
and took the move in the second category. Yeah, definitely smarter than what I did. I mean, I
yeah,
mean, I had a hell of a ride for sure, but in terms of level of difficulty, not level of difficulty, but just level of pain,
yeah.
pain meter on the
Pa-
pain meter.
right.
Number two is lower on the pain meter for
I
sure.
mean, because it's hard to get in and it's hard to do. Like, I think doing that gut check in the beginning for the things that resonate with you is really important, because it's like, I would say, if you want it to be worth those kinds of struggles, like you want to know that you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. Okay, so we've talked about paths to get to the PM role. What about once you're getting calls and interviewing? What are the kinds of skills you'll need to thrive as a PM? Let's dive into it.
Okay, this is a good one. So, yeah, you need a whole separate set of skills to interview as a PM, but that's not what this episode is about. So yeah, here are the competencies that I recommend to be a useful and maybe even a memorable PM, dare I say.
Hmm.
There are 5 of them. This was like this was a really nice exercise for me, because I kind of looked back on my career. I looked back at the PMs that I really aspire to be like. And I was like, okay, what are these people doing to not just be a PM, but be the PM, like WWF PM, big guy.
Yep.
um, yeah, and I also think that these things are important because they're not only internally validating to me, they don't not only make me feel good, but these are the things that come up in like my reviews. Like these competencies, people are like, "Oh, thank God you're this way because that helped me do this," you know? So that's how I know that it's like a notch above just being performant. It's like being a solid PM. So, yeah, without further ado, let me say like the first one is be a strategic thinker. It's not enough to just push goals. As a PM, you need to like carve out a path to achieve those goals. And then you have to like it, okay? You have to like really want to do it. um
It's true.
so I think solid PMs think about like not just the, why, like, oh, we're aligning to these leadership or these business objectives. It's like how do I get there? Oh, you have a problem? Like I am the person people call when they have problems, and I love that. What about you?
Yep, 100%. In fact, I would recommend listening to our previous episode about strategy if you want to
Yes.
learn more about how to become a strategic thinker. But yeah, it's very critical.
This dog just turned off the light. Shit you not. Did you see that? I was like,
Fuck.
this dog's a ghost. Like, how did he reach the switch?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, did the power go out? And if like the
No, he's still talking.
yeah, if the power went out, then how are we doing this still?
I, don't-
And
I was just like,
it's great.
what the fuck?
Okay.
Okay,
All
sorry.
right. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna edit this out, but
Okay.
here his dog just turned off the lights. So there's a little bit of a break in here. Sorry about that. Not your dog. You're babysitting your parents' dog.
Yeah,
Right.
get you a dog that knows how to act up only when you're recording a podcast. That's what everyone needs.
That's epic. Okay, what were we talking about? We were
Okay,
talking about
strategic thinking. And so, yeah, you
yeah.
should watch our last episode, How to Build a Great Strategy, because that's kind of like what you'll have to do over and over again. And if you're really good, you'll just be thinking like that all the time. Like, what is the path to those goals, or what is the path to solving this problem? The second one is really good too. And actually, Ajay, you do this a lot. The second one is bias for action. Like, I love a thought leader. I love listening to people who just get to talk, but it's really not enough. I've worked with plenty of idea people. And for me personally, it's kind of frustrating because when someone gives me a good idea, but then they do nothing to move the ball forward, I was like, well, that was a waste, right? So,
Yep.
yeah, I think you have to be brave and take the first pass. And that's what I mean by bias for action. Like, I've found that just doing a tiny bit more than the average X, like the average person, the average PM, the average leader, that really gives me an edge. Like, I don't need to solve world hunger. I just need to do a little bit more than the average person to have made an impact. And that comes through just being like tuned to do something instead of sit on things. Just try. So yeah, you don't have to solve everything, but having a bias for action will take you super far. Um, yeah, do you think that's made you better at your job, Ajay?
100%. I'm so glad we're talking about it. It's helped me quite a bit. I mean, for example, just running experiments and getting research initiated
Mhm.
instead of coming into discussions empty handed to brainstorm about what you're going to do next or
Yeah.
what kinds of stories we should do or tests we should run next. So huge. So just having a bias for action, moving, running even the smallest of experiments by executing on tests with real data, it ensures that conversations that you're going to have about what to do, what kind of decisions to make, are going to be about real facts and are going to be more customer centric. It's much more productive and collaborative than talking about pie in the sky ideas, and can only happen when you have a bias towards action. I've run
Right.
this time and time again. It's huge.
Yeah.
Really, really, it really, really matters.
100%. That brings me to my next point. Play well with others. And this is about influence and collaboration. I think a lot of people, when they hear play well with others, means like, oh, you're like a team player. Like, no, that is not enough. That is like basic level B stuff here. Like, it's just the starting. Collaboration isn't just like it's not the basic kind of collaboration like like be a good scrum master or run some planning meeting, that you have with your stakeholders like once a quarter where you show up there with your like begging bowl like, hey, help me unblock these dependencies. That is not collaboration at all. Collaboration is building authentic relationships, like ones where you learn each other's strengths and weaknesses, and then you teach others about your context and you learn about theirs. Like that kind of collaboration would make you like a next level PM, because understanding each other's context means you can build like a common language and a common goal. And that's really what it's about, to like move really big features that cut across teams, that's not just like within your boundaries. Like, for example, I have to work with Ajay a lot in order to take my very back end style machine learning feature, and put it in front of customers. And we don't just do that by like meeting like once a quarter. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, can you make room for this in your sprint? Like, I think we do a deeper level of strategic alignment. We share ideas, we talk about how our features can help other parts of the company that we maybe only know about in our individual silos. Like, wouldn't you agree? Am I too in my feels? I'm sorry.
No, no, I think it's totally resonating. Unlocking your collaborators' superpowers can be huge towards helping you make things happen.
Hmm.
From experience, I've found that bringing other people in that share common ground, goals, and objectives can be much more powerful than working alone. To the point where if you don't know how to play well with others, like you're talking about,
Hmm.
it can be a huge detriment to your career. I've seen this lately as we've been building strategies for next year. It's way more powerful and easier when you know how to collaborate and harness other strengths versus going alone.
Yeah, 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 totally. It's really validating to hear that. Okay, point 4, be data informed. So again, shout out to episode 5. Not to toot our own horns, but you should listen to all of our episodes, everyone. But episode 5 is
Yeah.
about the relationship between quant and qual. I make lots of decisions at work, and I know from experience guessing too often.
Decisions.
Oh,
Decisions.
good one, dude. That was deep in the episode. Proud of
You
you.
caught everybody sleeping. You caught everybody sleeping. I was like, it's a punt. Put your hands up. All right. Here we go.
Yeah, so I think basically I like the people I work with to trust me, and I build that trust by making good calls. I make good calls because I have a crystal ball. No, I don't have a crystal ball. I make good calls because I invest time in being data informed. I spend the time to read the dashboard, to read the NPS survey that's like 6 pages long or like 3 Excel tabs. Um, so I need to get to good factual answers, because it will pay me back. Not only because I build trust with people, but I feel more confident that I'm taking things in the right direction. Yeah, I think if you're, not sure how to do this, if you're in a role or you're thinking about a role, like you should just go over to like episode 5, minute 19. It's hyperlinked in the show notes on Substack. We cover all our favorite tools and like who to talk to so that you can actually instrument your site to have more facts about what the hell is actually going on.
That's right. Yes. Mix panel, full story, and amplitude. We're not sponsored by them, I promise, but they're great tools. Highly recommend them.
Yeah. We wish we were sponsored. Still waiting on that call from Tonal and Peloton too.
Yep. That's right. For
But
sure.
okay, last but not least, have an effing point of view. and I mean this with everything in my soul, you're going to be calling the shots, guiding people to North Star. So having an opinion on what makes X great or bad is super important. You can train yourself to do this if you aren't already. Like, don't feel like, oh, like this is just something I need to be born with. Like, you don't. My favorite piece of advice is to actually like swipe down if you have an Apple or Android and like look at your most used apps. Like, ask yourself, why do I use these? What makes me come back? What do I like about this? And then how would you change them? I think that's also like a popular interview question. But if you can't answer how you would change them, then you don't have a point of view. Maybe that's a little controversial, but if you're not doing that thinking, you don't really have a perspective on how you might shape things. So, yeah, I've read that you need to have intuition and experience to do this. But yeah, like I said, I disagree. 50% of this skill is just simply articulating your point of view. And yeah, just pick one and start there. You'd be surprised how just like talking out any point of view, even if it's one counter to what you think, or like representing your dad's point of view, like that will help you develop your own.
Yeah, totally. It's a very good exercise in empathy and product sense. That's really what we're talking about. It's a key skill. We talked about this in episode 4. What is product management? I mean, it's a pretty key skill. You're going to do it a lot, so you should expect to be prepared for that. Okay, we've gone through the different paths of transitioning, the kinds of things that make you successful in the role.
Yeah.
What's our best advice for what to do now? What should we be telling people that are interested in making this transition to do today?
Okay. This is a good one. How do we put all this into motion? Well, if you're in school, you should try an internship for the summer. Like, legit, that is my best advice. Like, go through your school, and they can maybe match you. If they can't match you, you're gonna need a little hustle. But guys, it's 2022, isn't it? 2022 or is it 2023? It's 2023.
It's almost 2023,
It's
but it's
almost
2022
2023.
right now.
Uh, get a grip on your date. That's also a core competency on what year it is. But go to LinkedIn, search for internships, like go and do one just so you can validate that this is kind of the right place for you. Like as Ajay mentioned, every internship isn't going to give you a good sense for exactly your future product role, but it is going to give you a good flavor. So I would say definitely do that. Ajay, you talked a little bit about the internship experience you had, but do you have any other ones, any stories you want to share of good ones?
Oh man, I don't know. I had a couple of internships. One was an engineering internship that honestly wasn't very informative. So
Okay.
when you're looking at these internships, I would definitely make sure that you're going to learn skills that are transferable to the product space if that's something that you're interested in, because not every internship is going to be like that. I think mine was like looking at manufacturing order lists and checking them, which was not useful at all. So, I would not recommend doing something like that. The other internship, this might be a tangent, but I ended up taking an internship at Disney World, which was really fun.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and that was more about building soft skills and being collaborative. And surprisingly, now that I look back on it, it actually had a lot of transferable skills
Oh, so you weren't
that
like Pluto?
ended up here.
They let you
I was
talk?
not Pluto. I did work in the parks. So I was giving tours.
Oh, cool.
Um, But one of the great parts about that job, one, giving tours, you have to communicate a lot. So you get really good at communicating with
Yeah.
people. You're also running the tour. So you talk to a lot of people and you have to
Mhm.
make connections really quickly. So it's really great if you're trying to negotiate with people. That requires a lot of quick connections, but also collaboration. You got to get to know people pretty fast.
Yeah, really fast.
Um,
They're just like strangers. They're like in and out, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Millions of people coming through there every month. It's and you're talking to them face to face, which is wild now. Um and yeah, honestly it actually also kind of it reignited my passion for technology and engineering. It was one of those few places where they used technology to literally make magic happen,
Oh my
and
gosh.
so that was an incredible thing,
So
but
cool.
not a direct product management internship. I would recommend people try to get direct product management experience.
Okay.
But some of these great things help you build skills for later on too. So wouldn't count them out.
I can see your Disney tour guide skills coming out at work all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Welcome to the Backlot Tour. My name is Ajay Walker.
Yeah.
Welcome to this product requirements review meeting, everybody. My name is Ajay Walker.
Do you believe in magic? Okay.
Yeah, all the time.
What would you suggest to folks who are in a product adjacent role? Like, what's the best advice for them to get into product management? Like, to make that move?
Yep. I would 100% shadow a PM you admire. I think mentorship, you and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
I think mentorship is less fruitful. Oftentimes, if it's somebody that you really want to be able to emulate,
Yeah.
they're super busy.
Yeah.
And like
Oh my
the
gosh.
idea of taking time out of a crazy schedule to mentor, whatever that really means,
Yeah.
um, is definitely more challenging than just shadowing. If shadowing is like, yeah, whoever you're working with is probably like, yeah, I'll just forward you a bunch of meeting invites
Right.
and, you'll sit in on all the stuff I have to do anyway.
Yes.
So, yeah, sure. Come and shadow me, right? It's
Hmm.
it's a lot simpler.
Totally.
Um and yeah, so limited time, but if you ask to shadow them, you'll get exposure to the real experience, how to present, who they talk to, what their to-do list look like, and you'll have a jumping off point for your learning. I mean, it sounds simple, but right, I mean, shadowing, you'll learn a lot more than you might think.
Yeah. And like, don't just do it once. Like, do it like once a month or once a quarter or like once an important event. Like, during shadow them during planning, shadow them during launch. Like I did the mentorship thing at first. Oh my god, it's like so cringe when I like think back at it. Because like I canceled the like meeting like more than I actually met the mentor and then I was like, "Oh god, she's going to think I'm like bad." But honestly, I felt like I was wasting her time like you said. She was already like super busy and I had questions, but like then while she was answering them, I was just like taking notes. Like, what am I going to do with these notes? Read them? Like, I wasn't actively learning. But when I started shadowing, things started clicking. Like the things that she would say and the things that she would do would, like you said, give me like a jumping off point for my learning. Like, okay, like why did you make this call? Or why is this person like even involved in this project? And that just kind of like was like training with a weight vest on. Like you were in real life scenarios, not talking about theory, actually talking about like how to make better decisions, what PM life is about. Like it was way, way more powerful. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, last but not least, if you're in a non tech job and want to get into product management, like we said, it's a little bit harder. But I think the best advice I have is go, if you're going from non tech, go to either a product adjacent role with an equivalent skill set outside, like transition into like a tech company and get into product adjacent role like marketing, QA, copywriting, any of those things. And if you do not feel comfortable leaving your role, just try and find a role within your company or responsibilities that would have the equivalent skill set to what we mentioned. Okay, so what do I mean by that? I'll give you an example. So if you're like at a utility company, I don't know, like the water company, and there aren't any PMs like nearby, so you can't really build up your resume. Get closer by moving into a role that requires PM skills, or ask for responsibility aligned with the kind of like skills that we outlined. And if you're open to changing companies, like even better, get into a tech company, get into a product adjacent role, be near to strategy. And like that's one way you'll learn through osmosis. And you may be able to slide right in. Like Ajay, what are some popular product adjacent roles? We mentioned a few.
Yeah. Marketing, project management is another common one that we see a lot. Content strategist is another. It's
Yeah,
actually surprising how much of your job is related to copy as a product manager. So,
yeah.
um, working with content strategists happens a lot. Yep, for sure.
Okay.
Those are great ones.
Okay, yeah, I know a copywriter. for a magazine who moved into a product role by shifting companies.
Yep.
And she moved into QA. Like you can check the quality of an experience without too much like background like certification or work. And I think QA is a really good one because you're really close to describing what is and what isn't working. And that's really healthy. Like part of a product manager's job is this diagnosis piece, like what is and what isn't working. Yeah, she ended up getting into product management because she was socializing, communicating the things that weren't working and maybe some solutions for it. First for the official feature, but then for the overall strategy. So I thought that made her like a really good kind of representative example for this path.
Yeah, 100%. That's awesome. QA, especially QA people. QA people, I think, are really great candidates for PM. They know all the ins and outs of a product
Right.
and can really, really, really excel in that type of role. So, well, we're really excited to hear your particular journey. And if you think we can help, just leave us a comment and we'll give you our take on how to make a transition.
Yeah, no shortage of advice over here. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, folks, I think that's the end of this segment.
Yeah, we did it. Transitioning to product management. Hopefully, this episode helps you live out your dream of joining us in that PM life. I know sometimes we make it sound like it's such like a grind, but it is really a great job,
Yeah,
and there's lots of really fun aspects to it. It's great to get you know your team, be highly collaborative, and getting those wins are just like it
so
really keeps you
rewarding.
going.
Oh
So
my God, so
so rewarding.
rewarding.
So let us know if you enjoyed this episode in the comments at our website for the episode. And if there's more you'd love to hear about transitioning to product management, let us know. We're happy to help. Okay, it's that time in the show for cool product things for the uninitiated. This is where we share a cool product thing that we saw out in the wild that represents a key product concept. This week, it's Ira's turn. Ira, take it away. What cool product thing do you have for us this week?
Okay, hear me out. It is a physical product with zero digital features, but I just want you to imagine that you have a dog, and this dog is at home with you while you are trying to work or record your podcast. And this dog wants your attention. Let's call this dog Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is constantly bringing you toys. He wants to play tug of war. He wants you to give him treats for doing very basic bitch things like sitting. He wants treats. You're trying to run the most important planning session of your career. And said dog is like huffing, like deep, heavy breathing at your feet, whining for your attention. Okay? What happens? Guilt sets in immediately for me. I wish I had more time. What kind of dog parent am I? I'm here, stuck in this meeting. What can I do? What can I do? Enter cognition stimulating dog toys. Okay?
Ooh,
Have you heard of
okay.
these?
Somewhat, a little bit. Tell us about it.
Okay. These are slow feeding puzzle dog toys. The number of times this toy has saved me from guilt and actually being able to do my job at home. Like I think I'm at like 18 and it's only midweek. Um, so what are these toys? They help you hide treats in like solvable puzzles. And those puzzles are engaging and good for the dog brain, so they keep them entertained, but like independently. And it's delightful for the user and the dog. Like that dog's getting its brain worked out. It's like looking for a treat. It's not bored. And me, like I've reduced my level of guilt at least 3 notches, and I might even be able to earn a paycheck that day. So that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I keep these toys out, not all the time, but like when I really need them, so they, are kind of seen as like a reward and not just like that toy that's like hanging around, and it works like a charm. He's not bored, and it's configurable, so it's not the same thing every single time. I'll share a couple of links to the ones I love, but have you ever gotten Einstein one of these, or is he like pretty chill when you're at home?
I remember these. They're a brilliant product. They really, in a lot of ways, the companies that make these show some really deep user empathy, knowing that you need them just to like hardcore distract your dog sometimes when something important is going on, which is just brilliant. That's such a brilliant product and such a cool product thing. Um, for us personally, we tried them on Einstein and he loved it to the point where it got difficult to keep filling it back up with treats.
Oh my gosh.
Um, we ended up getting some longer lasting chew toys, but we should go back to it after listening you hype it up. He's a big boy, so I guess I have to find something he can mess with for a good while and
Yep.
that can hold a lot of treats. That seems to be the challenge. But great product thing. Very cool product thing.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and that's a wrap. Thank you, as always, for joining us for Product Happy Hour. If you enjoyed Happy Hour today, please support us by subscribing at our website, producthappyhour.com. There are two options, $5 a month and $30 a year for one Starbucks latte a month or one DoorDash order a year. You can help us keep this party going and keep ads off the pod. Thank you in advance for your support. You can also support the show by following the show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please also rate the show on your platform of choice. Really helps us out. Follow us on Instagram or TikTok for clips at Product Happy HR. And please share with your friends and spread the word. The more people at the bar, the merrier. Thank you so much for making decisions
God.
for listening to the show. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.
Gotcha. Cheers, everybody.